welcome. If you could share your name, title, and organization, please.
Yeah, my name's Mickey Hammer, and the company that with is Lifetime Fitness, and my title is Senior Personal Training Manager.
Okay, thanks so much for your time today. Could you briefly describe what led you to your current job and maybe share any details such as whether you always knew you wanted to do that or anything you've done maybe unsuccessfully that led to this or promotions that led you to your current job?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I didn't know I wanted to do personal training or even be a leader or manager in any aspect. I guess it all started with being an athlete in high school, always being drawn to exercise and activity, and then getting a scholarship to go to college to run cross country and track. I was always on that side. And I initially wanted to go to college and be a physical therapist. And when I started getting into shadowing and kind of in-depth classes and stuff, I realized that that aspect for me was just a little too depressing. You're seeing people at their worst, whether they're athletes or somebody that just had a heart attack and they're trying to recover. And so for me, it was slow programming, slow aspects in the day. And I just knew I wouldn't be able to do that long term. So then I decided to go into cardiac rehab, which is more for, somebody just had a heart surgery and now they're having to do cardiovascular exercise for rehabilitation. And that was even worse than physical therapy in terms of just being boring, being depressing for me. You're working with 70-year-old individuals who just don't want to do anything, and you're trying to force them to do it, right? So then I try to go into like sports medicine, where, okay, let me stay on the athletic side of it with athletes, but do more of a medicine side rather than exercise. And that was I had a lot of anxiety doing that because being on the side of a football field and somebody breaking their leg and you're the first one on scene, right? It's like being a EMT. That was just a lot for me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm canceling all that and I'm going to move into like the proactive side where I want to keep people from getting injured. I want to keep people from going into surgery, keep people into going from medical issues to rehabilitation. And so I decided to go into personal training for that reason. And that was perfect for me because you get to work with several individuals from any type of athlete: lacrosse, golf, cross country, basketball, football, baseball, whatever it may be, to weight loss or rehabilitation or health and wellness, geriatrics, literally anything. And so it really gave me a broad daily scope of just keeping it interesting, always changing it up. And then, as I got into personal training, I realized that I could impact more people by leading other personal trainers. So I went from joining Lifetime in 2015 to just being a personal trainer, to moving my way up to being a metabolic specialist, where I was doing a lot of testing, exercise testing and blood work and things like that, to being a team development manager who basically helps with hiring and staffing and developing personal trainers, to being a lead assistant, to a personal training manager, to then a senior personal training manager. So moved my way up a lot, and it's taken 8 or 9 years to get there.
Okay, so very interesting story. It sounds like you spend a lot of time really trying to understand yourself and be honest with yourself about the areas that just weren't going to do it for you, that you didn't love, and move on before you spent too much time investing into those areas. Could you share a little bit? I know you've risen the ranks of this company and you're doing very different work than you originally started. But if you could share a little bit about the education and training or experience you would need to do your current role, and then maybe even the entry level role that you went into.
Yeah, absolutely. Entry level, You just need a certification, high school diploma. We need you to be, graduated, but it could be any type of certification that you could even get on a weekend or you could get online. That is our lowest level, lowest pay. In terms of, my mindset as a leader is those individuals are very introductory um, into the personal training world, that they're limited on their skill set right now. Not that they're forever going to be, because we want to work on them. But those are the lowest paid, 100% commission, just based on who you're working with, how many individuals. All the way to our master trainers, we call them, are high school diplomas, bachelor degrees or master's degrees with multiple certifications. Those are our master fitness professionals that we really take care of financially, commission based, income based. For my position right now, honestly, if you take your time to move up with the company, you could start as just maybe a bachelor's degree with a certification or two, and just take your time to develop and move up and learn leadership aspects. Uh, for me, I had a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in exercise science and kinesiology. I also had minors in business and leadership. So that really helped me develop into the position that I'm in now. Not that everyone takes that route, but it really helped me kind of fast track. And I have multiple certifications in terms of personal training as well, which help um, develop throughout my personal training career.
Okay, super interesting.
Yeah.
Um, could you help us like understand your role as it currently is, and then the skills that are required for your position? You kind of touched on it a little bit, but the tangible skills and then maybe the intangible things too.
Yeah, so my position right now, being a senior personal training manager, it is salary plus bonuses, is what we call it. So, dependent on the performance of the facilities that are under me, my team that I have, my own individual club as well, I get bonuses each month and each quarter. And then my salary also comes with 401k, health, dental, vision, um, life insurance, every full benefits, which is great. That's one thing that drew me to the company. You don't really get a lot of personal training companies that give full benefits like that, and that's great. And like I mentioned before, with our introductory personal trainers, it is 100% commission, which could be very stressful. But like you and I spoke on earlier, as long as you have passion in something, and you really are excited about it, the money will come. A lot of people are stressed about commission, but in my mind, and what I try to tell my teams are, that just means there's no cap. You can make as much money as you want. Whereas if your salary, it doesn't matter if you put 80 hours in a week or 30 hours a week, you're going to get the same amount of income. Commission, no cap. You make as much as you want as long as you're willing to put in the work. My daily task right now, I'll get in about 9 a.m. and I do a walkthrough of my facility, and I make sure that everything's clean, everything's aligned, there's nothing broken. If anything's outdated or broke, I'll put in an order and make sure we get it replaced. I'll do a walkthrough with my team, give high fives, get people excited in the mornings, and make sure that the energy's good on the floor. And then I'll go into a couple of personal training sessions myself. I'll work with some individuals. And then from basically noon on is all meetings. I have one-on-one meetings with other leaders on the team. I have one-on-one meetings with the personal trainers. Sometimes I'll go to another facility about once a week and meet with their teams. We do team meetings. We do education meetings. I do probably 1 to 2 interviews a day, trying to develop, the next people on our teams, the next fitness professionals that we call them. And the hiring pipeline is extremely important for us because we're always growing. And we do a lot of hands-on education every day, whether it's leadership education or exercise programming, anything like that. A lot of skills that you need for my position is leadership, communication, and being able to read people. Not everyone communicates the same way. Not everyone uh, accepts information the same, and you have to understand how individuals take on what you're trying to say. And we have 350 fitness professionals in my area, and every one of them communicate differently and are motivated differently. And so that leadership aspect and communication is extremely important, as well as, continuing your own personal training skill set. You can't lead other personal trainers if you don't know what's going on in terms of the updated education, research and things like that. Nobody's going to respect or trust you if you don't know what you're talking about first. So that's extremely important as well.
Yeah, that was very comprehensive. Thank you. I think I have a better understanding, and hopefully everyone who's listening does too. So it sounds like you're super passionate about what you're doing. I know you've been doing it for quite some time, and so that's evident that you love it. What would you say is the best part though of your job?
I think the best part is seeing the results of all of our, we call them members or clients. Seeing the the person walk in for their first day, they get their membership, they may be extremely overweight or they're depressed or they're, wanting their overall athletic performance to be better. And in 3 to 6 months, seeing their life just drastically change. They're way happier, they're off medication, maybe they reached a goal that they wanted to reach, or they didn't have to have a surgery that their doctor was trying to tell them to do because they got healthier. And that for me is extremely rewarding. That's initially why I got into personal training. And I'll always tell every single person that's what continues my excitement and energy every single day. It's not money. It's not, the position itself, trying to climb the corporate ladder or anything like that. It's coming in and high-fiving somebody because they reached a goal or they changed their life in some way. And that's extremely exciting for me.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we talked about the good stuff. What about the challenges? What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
I think motivating individuals is probably the most challenging. Outside of clients, I think about my personal trainers on my team, right? They're motivated by different things. One might be having a baby in 3 months. And so that's their motivation to really get financially supported, get their clientele built up, and start seeing results. Somebody might be motivated by wanting a position down the road. Maybe it's my position that they want. So they're motivated to learn new things and get excited. Maybe somebody's motivated by money, it could be, and so breaking everything down for them on what they need to do every day to reach the financial income that they're wanting or needing. So everyone's motivational purposes, their why, we call it, what's your why, is different. And being able to communicate to every single individual differently is probably the biggest challenge, but it's also extremely exciting. And that's what I go into every day and love to do. From their first hire, their first interview, I always ask, what's your why? Why are you doing this? What's going to keep you excited every day to come in and keep your energy high and change lives? And once they answer that, I have that in my mind going forward for the rest of their career, right? So if they get burnt out in some way or they get demotivated in any way, always bring that up and always make sure that they're reset as to why they joined in the first place and why they're here.
Yeah, those are some exceptional leadership skills you have, for sure.
Yeah, that's fun.
So what you're in an incredible position at this point. Are you looking for growth or changes in your long-term career goals, or what's next for you?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I always tell individuals, like, as long as I'm learning something every single day, I'm happy. And right now I'm always learning something. And my very first interview with Lifetime, I told the person that interviewed me, the day that I stop learning is the day that I'm going to redirect my mindset on what I'm going to do next. and I'm always learning something. But in terms of the company, you know, the next route would be a regional training manager or something with corporate. And I don't know if I'm quite there because at that point, you're hands off. You know, you're not with your teams, you're not with the clients, you're not with the, you know, the energy on the floor. And that's what I love the most. I would really like to have my own company at some point, you know, my own facility that I can control 100% aspects of, right? I think the biggest part of life right now is everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. You know, everybody wants to control their own hours, control their own schedules, you know, be in total control of their financial needs. And I think that would probably be my next step is having my own uh, fitness facility.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, what advice would you give students or anyone looking to maybe make a change in their career, wherever they are in their life? What advice could you give them for doing that, finding a fulfilling career
Yeah.
like you have?
I think the big thing is don't be afraid to fail. You know, a lot of people try to not fail. You know, they're taught their whole lives, you know, you don't want to be a failure. You don't want to fail. And failing is actually a really good thing. Um, if you quit, that's different. You know, nobody wants to be a quitter. But it's okay to be a failure because if you don't fail, you don't learn. You know, you don't get out of your comfort zone. And getting out of your comfort zone is extremely important to grow as an individual, to grow in your career. You know, and that's the most important thing that I try to tell everyone that I talk to is fail, but only fail once. You know, you don't want to fail at the same thing over and over. You want to fail and learn from that mistake and go forward. In terms of moving into a career path, don't be afraid to challenge yourself and try new things, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you know, shadowing is a great aspect. All shadow anything that you might have a passion in, because you don't know if you're passionate in it until you get into the weeds of what truly goes on every single day. Everything looks great on paper, you know, and that's what, you know, everyone tries to do is try to make something really attractive. But until you get into the day-to-day task, you don't know. And so reach out to anything you might be interested in, shadow a day or two, and you know, learn from that.
That's all really good advice. I'm definitely a big advocate for or not mentorship, excuse me, but internship or job shadowing. Really seeing, like you said, what does the day to day look like? And I love what you said. Anything can look good on paper, and that's people's jobs when they're trying to fill those roles or trying to create more interest into particular career area. But we've really got to see it for ourselves, and it's
Right.
more. Yeah, what's paradise for one person is often not that for many others. So,
Exactly.
um, so speaking of maybe interviewing or getting those jobs, you've done a lot of interviewing. It sounds like on a daily basis. So you've been the interviewee, but the interviewer now. What's one good piece of advice you could give somebody who's starting that thing that we don't really learn how to do in high school? Maybe interview skills.
Yeah.
What advice could you give them?
Yeah, I would say practice. You know, that's the big thing. You know, whether you practice with family members, practice with friends, you don't know what questions to ask until you've been through an interview or two at least, you know, and you're very uncomfortable, you know, when you're jumping into your first one or even your 10th or 12th one, because it's always someone new and you don't know what questions they're going to ask. But preparing for those questions is extremely important, but also having questions to ask yourself. You know, I love when people ask me questions when I'm interviewing them. You know, if I'm going through and I'm doing 90% of the talking, that's not good for me because in my mind, that shows that they're not going to be a good communicator to their clients or to their individuals that they're working around. Which kind of leads to a really good point that I talk to with my teams is surround yourself with successful people. And by success, I don't mean, you know, making six figures or whatever financially. It's who who has great work ethic and surround yourself with that person, because that's going to help you continue to level up and continue to grow as not only a professional but a personal note as well. And that helps you communicate and kind of think about the questions you need to ask going forward, because you learn about what you want in the future as well.
Yeah, lots of great advice. Um, so I think you touched on it a little bit, but could you elaborate on what you feel like is the job outlook for your occupation, whether it's with the company that you work for or just maybe the industry in general?
Yeah, I think, you know, COVID really did damage to the fitness world. It's changed drastically. I think, my company, when COVID hit, we had about 3,300 personal trainers in the entire company. And when we came back from COVID, we had about 850. A lot of them didn't think that that industry is going to survive, because it was all hands on. It was working with in facilities that a lot of people sweat in, and they're breathing on everything. And so post COVID, people didn't think that was going to be a thing. So we really had to change our mindset around not only hiring and staffing, but how we train people as well. So we launched virtual training, where we can train people just like you and I are talking right now, over the computer or the phones, wherever they're at, whatever they're doing. And that really helped keep our businesses alive and keep our clients going during the hard times. But also really working on our staffing and hiring to come. We need personal trainers in the industry. We need what we call fitness professionals, who don't want to just go in and do the day-to-day grind working with clients, but people who want to develop as individuals and get better, and then develop people under them. So it's a very important industry for health and fitness, but it's also uh, needed right now. It's just like nursing. We need nurses. We need doctors, because a lot of them got burnt out or had to leave the industry. And same thing with personal trainers. So that's extremely important.
Yeah, all good stuff. Um, Last question, I would say we've talked about job shadowing. Are there any opportunities with you or within your organization for internships, job shadowing, mentorship, any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Mentorship all day long. I love mentoring individuals, whether they're wanting to go into the fitness industry or not. I think, I have a lot of leadership books that I could pass on, or we could talk about over a phone or FaceTime or anything like that, just to help you develop your communication, leadership, management styles, love languages, learning love languages to keep people passionate. Shadowing, I'll always let individuals shadow on my facilities. That's extremely important. Like I mentioned, I didn't know what I wanted to do until I shadowed multiple things. So learning what that task looks like every single day, shadowing, I'll let anyone do that all day long. Internships. We do have internships. They are paid or unpaid, depending on what your position looks like. It's going to be like 10.88 an hour for 40 hours a week for a 3 to 6 month internship, or we could do unpaid as well, depending on what your career path and what your schooling looks like, where you're at in your schooling.
Awesome. Well, that was very thorough. Thank you so much. Yeah, any last things that you'd like to share? Or I think we've covered quite a bit here. Anything else you'd like to share, though?
I'll tell everyone, reach out if you have any questions, or if you need anything. I'm always here to talk to people. I love talking to the younger generations as well, because everything's changed in terms of how we communicate and what the expectations of work is, because of this new generation coming up. So always, reach out if you have any questions. I love talking. But I will say one last thing is work ethic is extremely important when it comes to growing or entering the workforce. You can't expect to give mediocre effort and get paid the most that you want, right? If you give mediocre effort, you're going to get paid mediocre pay. And you're not going to be seen by your management or leadership as somebody who wants to move up or, develop or get a promotion. So work ethic's extremely important, always giving more than the people around you. It's just like athletics. You want to work harder than everyone around you to get better. Same thing with the workforce. You're always wanting to put in more than everyone around you is, so you're noticed more, and you learn more.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mickey. That was a
Ab-
pleasure.
Absolutely. Pleasure speaking to you as well.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Yes, ma'am.